Attacks against civilians and civilian infrastructure are prohibited under international law. All such attacks must stop immediately, whether they be on Ukrainian, Russian-controlled, or Russian territory. Concerns continue to mount that floodwaters could shift landmines into previously cleared areas, further endangering lives. Damaged sewer systems and the lack of clean water heighten the risk of waterborne diseases. Inundated farmland is a further blow to the already beleaguered agriculture and food production sector. The UN is already engaged in assessing the extent of the environmental and ecological needs stemming from this human-made catastrophe. We urge Russian authorities to act in accordance with their obligations under international humanitarian law and ensure safe and unfettered access to all areas in need. Aid cannot be denied to people who need it. We remain deeply concerned about the cases of forcible transfers of protected persons, including children, to territories of Ukraine under Russian control and consequent deportations to Russia. This critical issue impacting the most vulnerable needs to be addressed urgently, prioritizing the reunification of families. The announced deployment of Russian tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus, for example, and the accompanying rhetoric have raised regional tensions further. We urge all involved to act responsibly and in accordance with international obligations. We reiterate that any threat to use nuclear weapons is unacceptable.
Сегодня, госпожа председатель, мы видим очередные попытки Соединенных Штатов и их союзников заставить секретариат ООН провести так называемое расследование якобы имеющих место поставок иранских беспилотников для использования на Украине. Перед нашим заседанием мы уже изложили наши оценки журналистам. Если кратко, то и мы, и иранцы категорически отрицаем эти измышления. Никаких маломальски убедительных доказательств киевский режим так и не предоставил ни нам, ни иранцам, которые ради этого согласились на двусторонние консультации.
We therefore urge the international community to take the threat of this act of nuclear terror seriously and to step up pressure on the Russian Federation to prevent these menacing developments, including but not limited to introducing strengthened restrictive measures against the Russian nuclear industry and military-industrial complex.
Security Council members must distinguish between the victim and the aggressor. In this war of aggression, under the UN Charter, Ukraine has the right to self-defense against Russia's attacks in order to restore its territorial integrity. It also has the right to request international support for such efforts. The EU is committed to support Ukraine in this regard for as long as it takes.
Russia's and Iran's actions violate UN Security Council Resolution 2231. That resolution prohibits all countries, including permanent members of the Security Council, from transferring these types of weapons from Iran absent advanced Security Council approval. Approval was, of course, not given. Ukraine, the United States, France, the United Kingdom, and other countries have duly reported these violations to the United Nations and supplied the UN with additional information and analysis. The United Nations must respond to growing calls from the international community to investigate these violations.
We categorically rejected. These are baseless allegations and blatant attempts to deliberately mislead the international community. The arguments that our colleagues are providing do not withstand any scrutiny and simply lack any legal or technical grounds. Their assumptions are limited to some kind of open source information and vague assessments. They provide incoherent photos of hardly identifiable debris of alleged UAVs. It looks they are not even sure themselves about the evidence they are providing. And it's not about facts, as you see, it's all about fake political narrative.